The man suddenly noticed that something felt off. The moment he sat down, his seat snapped beneath him. It seemed like a small thing, but Nick was suddenly hit with a strange sense of dread. He looked up and saw a crack running through the support beam overhead, with sand constantly trickling down from it. Then, a sudden eerie gust of wind swept through. An oil drum by the roadside was knocked over, spilling oil all across the ground. One of the passing race cars skidded on it and nearly flew off the track. Luckily, nothing happened, but Nick's uneasiness only kept growing. Just as he was about to tell his friend, a poster suddenly dropped right beside him, and printed on it were race car drivers who had all died in accidents. Before he could figure out what it meant, he noticed a line written on the shirt in front of him. Life is hard, and then you die. Nick couldn't help but look back up at the cracked support beam. A breeze brushed across his shoulder, like someone had lightly touched him, and then the truly horrifying part began. One of the race cars pulled into the pit for repairs, but before the mechanic could even pull the screwdriver out, the driver gunned it and sped off. Not long after, the screwdriver fell onto the track. While the crowd was still cheering, completely unaware, disaster was already on its way. In an instant, the whole place was thrown into chaos. Everyone started running for their lives, but by then, it was already too late. Security began directing people toward another exit, but just as Nick called for his separated friends to come over, the stands started collapsing. Everyone at the racetrack was doomed to die. Then Nick suddenly jolted awake. Everything that had just happened had only been a vision he saw with his eyes wide open. While he was still shaken, his friend Hunt handed him his drink. Nick realized he had just seen what was about to happen, and while his friend was still wondering how Nick could have predicted any of it, a race car pulled into the pit for repairs. That was the moment Nick truly panicked. He started screaming, "Run! There's going to be a crash!" His friends tried to stop him, but ended up clashing with the people around them. Nick was far too terrified to care anymore. He grabbed his girlfriend and took off running. Several people he had argued with ran out after him, and just as Nick